Okay, so get this. You're scrolling online, right? And you see this video, and it's a blue emu, like, swimming in the ocean. And it's not some cartoon. This is like a real video, waves crashing, the whole deal. But then you find out it wasn't made by some fancy Hollywood studio. It was completely made by AI. That's the kind of future that Meta is hinting at with this new Movie Gen project of theirs. So we're going to dive into all that, see how it works.
And the interesting thing here is that Meta isn't just dropping, one AI model. They're releasing a whole bunch of them. They're calling it a cast Movie Gen. And each model in this cast, it has its own specific job in this whole video generation process. So you've got Movie Gen Video, that's like your director. Then there's Movie Gen Audio, acting as the sound engineer. And then on top of that, you've got others for stuff like personalization, even editing.
So it's not just one big AI trying to do it all. It's like a whole film crew, but, algorithms instead of people. Why do they do it that way, though? What's the advantage of having this whole cast of AIs all working together?
Well, it's a pretty huge deal in the AI world because up until now, most models, they just focused on one type of media. But Movie Gen, it's tackling multiple types at once. You've got text, visuals, sound, all going to be coordinated. This is a massive jump, and it could mean way more realistic and complex AI content in the future.
Okay, so let's unpack how this director, this Movie Gen Video, how does it actually learn to make videos? I gotta admit, I tried reading through that research paper, and wow, talk about a brain twister.
Okay, so think of it like this. Imagine you're showing an AI millions and millions of video clips, right?
Okay.
And it's learning all the patterns. How stuff moves in the real world, how cameras are placed, how different types of scenes flow into each other. It's basically teaching itself the language of video,
They call this flow matching, right? That's different from how those AI image generators work, the ones blowing up online.
Exactly. A lot of those image generators, they use something called diffusion, which is kind of like slowly removing noise from an image to reveal the final thing. Flow matching is about guiding the AI to create video frames that when you play them together, they look consistent and believable over time. It's super complex, but it's how Movie Gen can make videos with this level of quality and realism we haven't really seen before.
So Movie Gen Video, that's like the visual mastermind behind all this. What about Movie Gen Audio, though? How does it make sound effects that actually sync up with what's happening on screen?
This is where it gets really cool, okay? Imagine you've got that video of the blue emu we were talking about just waddling down a beach. Most AI, they just slap on generic ocean sounds, right? But Movie Gen Audio doesn't just do basic sound effects. It actually gets the difference between sounds happening in the scene, like the emu's footsteps or the waves crashing, versus stuff like background music or a narrator talking, things that get added in later.
Wait, hold on. So the AI knows the difference between an emu's chirp, which is part of the scene, and some background music, which is added later. That's wild. How does it even do that?
They trained it on a massive amount of videos and audio, basically teaching it to identify and categorize different types of audio. This lets Movie Gen Audio not just match sounds to what you see, but also understand what kind of audio fits the mood, the story that the video is going for.
So it's not just matching random sounds to whatever's on screen. It's actually starting to understand the context, the story the video is trying to tell. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. It kind of gives you a glimpse into how AI is getting better at understanding not just what things look like, but also how they sound and how those sounds add to the whole feel of a scene.
Makes you think about what this could mean for stuff like video games or even VR. Imagine AI making these soundscapes that are so real, so immersive, you actually feel like you're in the game or in that virtual world.
Exactly. The possibilities are huge, and we're just scratching the surface. But hey, let's move on to another cool thing about Movie Gen, how it can actually personalize videos. Remember that blue emu we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, imagine if you could put yourself right into that scene. And I'm not talking about some cheap Photoshop job. The AI actually integrates you into the action seamlessly.
You mean that personalized Movie Gen Video model they mentioned in the paper? I gotta say, that's the part that really got me. So it's not just about dropping me into any old scene, right? How does the AI make it look believable, like I'm actually there?
Yeah, it goes way beyond just pasting your face onto someone else's body. It's way more advanced than that. This model, it's learned how to animate, like your likeness. You give a picture of yourself, it checks out your features, how you move, even the subtle stuff. And then it creates a video where you're moving around in that scene, totally naturally. But the crazy thing is, it keeps your own unique look. You still look like you.
That sounds ridiculously complicated. How do you even begin to teach an AI to do something like that?
Well, it takes some pretty clever training, let me tell you. Meta basically fed this AI a ton of videos showing the same people doing different things and different people doing similar things. And by studying all those little variations, the AI picked up on the nuances of how people look and how they move. So now it can take a new person, someone it's never seen before, and animate them realistically in all kinds of situations.
Wow, okay, so we've got realistic video, we've got AI making sound effects, we can even put ourselves into the action. What about editing, though? Can you imagine being able to edit videos with AI just by, like, typing out what you want?
You're talking about Movie Gen Edit, and yeah, it's just as groundbreaking as the other models for sure. This one's all about editing videos that already exist using simple text commands. Let's say you want to make that sunset in your video more dramatic. You just type that in, and the AI handles it.
That sounds straight up magical, but how did they train an AI to edit videos with text commands? Wouldn't you need to show it tons of examples of edited videos so it knows what to do?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But Meta, they found this really smart workaround. Instead of using already edited videos, they trained Movie Gen Edit on a huge data set of image edits. They basically treated each image as a single frame of video.
So they taught it to edit frame by frame.
Exactly. And get this, they used a technique called back translation. You usually see that in language processing. But they figured out how to use it for video editing.
Okay, back translations, that sounds kind of intimidating, not gonna lie. Can you explain it in a way that even us non-AI folks can understand?
Okay, so picture that video of the blue emu again, walking through a forest, right? Now imagine the AI edits the video and it swaps out that forest for a busy city. Back translation is basically making the AI figure out the text command that would undo that edit, like change the city back to a forest.
So it's like making the AI hit undo over and over and figuring out how to reverse all those changes.
Yeah, exactly. And by doing that a ridiculous amount of times with all kinds of edits, Movie Gen Edit learns how video editing works at a deeper level.
Right.
It's not just following pre-programmed rules anymore. It actually starts to understand how different edits change what's happening in the video.
That's incredible. This AI is starting to sound less like a tool and more like our real-life video editor. Like, it understands not just how to cut and paste, but why those edits actually matter.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And because it gets editing at that deeper level, Movie Gen Edit can handle all sorts of editing tasks. It's crazy versatile and powerful.
We've talked a lot about how Movie Gen works, but I'm curious about the why here. Why should people care about this tech? What's the big deal?
That's a good question. And the answer is, Movie Gen is way more than just a cool tech demo. It's giving us a glimpse into a future where making videos is as easy as typing up a sentence.
You're saying anyone with a computer could make professional quality videos even if they don't have fancy equipment or years of training.
That's the potential we're talking about here. It could be huge for educators. They could create more engaging lessons. Small businesses could make high-quality ads. Artists could have new ways to bring their ideas to life. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
It's like we're about to see this explosion of creativity, where anyone could be a filmmaker if they want. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. But with all this talk about AI making videos, editing them like a pro, it makes you wonder, right? Like, we talked about how Movie Gen Audio knows the difference between sounds that are in the scene and the background stuff. And that's already wild, but what does it mean? Like, in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, no, that's a question worth asking. You're right, the fact that an AI can pick up on those little details in sound, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It tells us we're not just teaching machines to copy sounds, they're actually starting to understand how those sounds work together.
Yeah.
How they make us as humans feel something, how they tell a story.
So it's not just about, like, recreating the sound of an emu's footsteps. It's about the AI getting what those footsteps tell you. How big the emu is, its mood, even how it's moving through its environment. That's kind of deep when you think about it.
It really is. It makes you wonder if we're getting closer to understanding something about, well, ourselves. How we use sound to make sense of the world. I mean, if an AI can learn to create audio that, hits us on an emotional level, tells a story, doesn't that tell us something about how our own brains are wired?
It's like AI is holding up a mirror, helping us understand our own senses in a whole new way. That's a pretty profound thought to end on, I'd say.
For sure. And it just goes to show how powerful AI can be, not just for creating cool stuff or entertaining us, but as a way to study ourselves and the world we live in. Who knows what other mysteries AI might help us solve down the line, right?
Well, on that note, we'll leave you all to think about the incredible things AI might be able to do with video and sound. And hey, maybe think about those bigger questions, too, about what it all means. It's clear that tools like Movie Gen are pushing the limits of what we thought was possible. It's going to be an exciting ride seeing where this technology goes next, Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into MovieGen. If you want to learn more, be sure to check out the show notes for links to the research paper and Meta's blog post. And until next time, keep those imaginations going, because you never know what amazing AI creation must be just around the corner.